Hey, how are you doing? This is Greg Van Kirk, and I want to spend a few minutes here to walk you through the system components map. Really, really helpful tool. Conversation tool might take you a little bit longer to do this one, but well worth it. This is for conversations about the five components of the system, ranging from policies to mindsets. This is a situation analysis tool right now, and currently sits in Toolkit 3. May be different for you, that's okay. Human-centered and systems mapping. So I'm going to go through about this tool. You'll see down below then how to use this tool. And here is the tool itself, the collaborative conversation tool. And then I'm going to go through engagement role guidance, hands-on consulting, and innovating based upon the role you're playing at the moment. So about this tool. This tool is inspired by The Water of Systems Change by John Kania, Mark Kramer, and Peter Senge of FSG. So big note here before I even start, I would highly encourage you to go to just Google The Water of Systems Change. This is taken from the incredible work and research that these folks have done. I've simply tried to simplify it a little bit, turn it into a conversation tool, change some of the phrasing, some of the wording, to make this sort of universal for folks who are doing this kind of work. But I highly encourage you to go and check that out. So this system components map tool is designed to help you and your team analyze how the six different components of a system are and or aren't contributing to success, and to identify where to potentially prioritize interventions or changes. Right. So a note, it can be paralyzing looking at systems. It's just a really great way to look at systems in a very methodical and logical way. And as always, a system could be a big picture system. It could be an organization. It could be a team. It could be a group of people. It could be a community. Don't think of systems just in terms of these big terms, right? So from top to bottom, explicit to implicit, simple to complex. The components included in this tool are as follows. Resources. So you want to know the resources within the system, right? These are resources such as money, facilities, tools, people, knowledge, and information. What exists in the system? How are resources distributed and allocated? So note that down. Um, Policies and rules. These are the government, institutional, and or organizational policies, rules, and regulations that guide actions. So we want to know, what are those? Habits, practices, and programs. This is what people do in planned and unplanned ways. So what are these within the system? Relationships. This is how people interact, communicate, live, and work within the system. Power dynamics. This is the distribution of decision-making power and authority, both formally and informally. Oftentimes it is informal between people and organizations in the system. And mindsets, perspectives. These are the deeply held beliefs, assumptions, and taken for granted ways of thinking that influence people's decisions and actions, right? So the resources are very explicit, kind of simple to be able to see and to note down. When you go all the way down to the mindsets and perspectives, those are implicit, right? And a little bit more complex to understand, take a little bit more time and understanding, and certainly a bit more empathy. So I'm going to go to how to use this tool. I'll just put it in my own words here, although you'll follow the guidance on the page before. As always, you can click here or on the tool at the top to access the Google Sheet and make an editable copy for you, you and your team or your community, and adapt it however you'd like to. So first at the top, we have, as always, with these systems tools, is the system description. So what is the system that we're looking at? If you can describe that, try to be as specific as possible. If you're not specific, it's really hard to analyze. And then if you look at the column on the left, in the table here, we have components of the system. So resources, policies, et cetera, working your way down, as I just described. So then we have analysis. Again, you can do this in order from top to bottom or do it however you want to. But analysis is the current situation. So what's the current situation with resources, for example, with policies and rules? So do your analysis. If I'm a consultant, for example, and I'm looking at an organization, I want to understand all this within the organization. So there's the current situation. Then to the right of that, you have what's the ideal situation. So for example, within the system, there's current situation here, the resources here, so they're allocated. What would be the ideal situation? Is it the same or is it different? Right? So note down the ideal situation. So do that for each of these as much as you can, time permitting, information permitting. And then to the right, if you've got a difference between current and ideal, you put ideas for how to get from current to ideal solutions. Helps you think about brainstorm about what can we do to try to improve certain components within the system to get a better result, to have the system work more equitably, to function better, to work better for everybody who's involved within that system. Um, Quick note, we could spend a lot of time on this, but if you look at underlying sort of like the iceberg model, right? If we really want to create change, long-term sustainable change, it's making sure that we're addressing those bottom things as much as possible, the relationships, the power dynamics, and the mindset slash perspectives. So going over to engagement role guidance, you've got this tool, you're playing different roles potentially, some guidance on how to use it. So if you're hands-on, you might want to create a system components map of either the organization you're working with, you're working, volunteering, or interning with, and or the community that the organization is supporting. You could also simply create a system components map for the community where you live to help you understand how to use this tool. That's great. That works with the certificate. Simply want you to get in there and using the tool and how to use it and apply it. If you're consulting, you might want to use this tool to help the organization team and or project team that you're consulting for focus on creating a systems components map for themselves, their team, their organization, or the community that will be supported as a result of your consultancy. As with all the tools, as always, this can be one of your final deliverables. This is a great tool to help teach an organization potentially, or a team to think in different ways about things, not to be presumptuous, of course, and innovating. So create a system components map of the community and or organization that you aspire to support with the innovation you're designing, right? So really a sort of a zoom out and get an understanding of it, so you can decide, where should I step in? Is it most important to step in with sort of mindsets and perspectives? Can I influence change there? Do we need some new resources? Is it a number of different things, right? Don't get paralyzed by the system. Looking at the components helps you figure out where to jump in with your innovation. So that is our systems components map, one of my sort of favorite tools here that I use all the time to think about change making. Hopefully you find this helpful. Don't hesitate to reach out if you want to talk about this, learn more about this, how it might work for what you're trying to do. Apart from that, I'm always here to collaborate, and hope you find this helpful and have a wonderful day. All the best.